Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Outside the Wire, episode 3. You can tell I'm at home. We're not going to get the great adventure of fishing together. But tonight, my special guest is somebody I met. Oh, see, here we go. I got to mute my YouTube side. There we go. Sorry about that. Um, my special guest I met when I was stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Mr. Chief Nate Hevner. So everybody, welcome Nate. How
How's it
you
going?
doing?
Doing well yourself?
Ah, living the retired life,
Oh yeah.
the retired working life now.
I got three
Now
more
that
years
that's
before I'm eligible.
see, they fly by even faster than they did when we were in El Paso.
Yep.
I mean, you start thinking about it, and you're like, all right, I'll give the Army one more good year, and then I'm gonna start transitioning myself and getting all those contacts 2 years out, and then that final year, no, it's all transition,
Yeah.
dude. Before you know it, that final year is on you, and now you're starting to panic.
I'm worried about that one because I have a hard time checking out. It's always mission, mission, mission. So
Yeah, fi- I'll, give me a call. I'll tell you the easy jobs.
yeah.
See, Mid South, there you go again. I already warned Nate because you and Nate are very similar personalities. You're gonna try to get me to say stuff. I mean, you guys a month ago wanted to hear Army stories. Well, there's some stories with Nate that I, I don't think he's willing to talk about until he's not in uniform.
None of them are true.
I was there.
Like I said, none of them are true.
I was there. Oh, my dogs. Freya, come here. Come say hi to the people. It's like Modog's lives with Trinity. You get little kids and dogs around. So we were at Fort Bliss together. Where'd you run off to?
I'm over at the First Security Forces Assistance Brigade out of it was Fort Benning. It's always Fort Benning in my mind, but now Fort Moore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always Fort Benning. You enjoying that job?
I do. It's unique. It's still at the brigade level, but we're doing division level actions. We got teams deployed all over South America, and it up until recently it was six month rotation. So by the time I finished getting a force package out, getting them all set up and everything, it's time for them to come back, and I got to set up and train up another one the whole time to send them out. So it was nonstop.
No wonder why you're not going to slow down for
Nope,
retirement.
can't do it.
Jeez. All right. Yeah, you got to call me because I can tell you where when you say you're 2 years from retirement and dropping your packet,
Yep.
they're like, yeah, whatever. And
Yeah.
it's just a short drive across Georgia for you.
You talking about Stewart?
No, no, you could probably do this at Gordon.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, or Eisenhower now.
It's still
Oh,
Gordon.
yeah, it's still Gordon. So when I told my wife you were coming on, she's like, well, what are you guys going to talk about? And the story I can tell is you used to fish in the Rio Grande and in
Yeah.
the canals. And every Sunday morning, I'd wake up to a news story of a body found in the Rio Grande, and I would have to text you and say, are you still alive?
Yep.
So, what led you to fishing in that nasty Rio Grande, and what did you catch?
So it was out of necessity because there's one other pond or lake or pond there. It was like a Tascadero or something like that, but just about everything died in there because of some algae bloom or toxins or something. So it was going to be a bad time. I went there one time and there was like 4 dead fish just sitting up on the bank. I was like,
So, so you go fish canals where there's dead bodies.
yeah, yeah, it's better
Yeah.
bait.
So a lot of these people that you're seeing in the chat are they catfish. So do
Yeah,
bodies help catch catfish?
no, I highly recommend about not using bodies to catch catfish, but it does make for
Okay.
bigger, tastier catfish.
You actually kept the catfish that you would catch?
Yeah. Who catches and releases catfish? What kind of crazy person does that?
Everybody that's in the side chat, I've watched
No, no,
them.
no. That's what they do on camera. They definitely take it back home and eat it.
All right, guys, all you catfishermen, do you actually keep the catfish that you catch when you're not on video? I want to know. If I knew how to do a poll, I would do that. You know, I forgot to put the banner up here.
Even when they're on video, you can't see it because it's fluorocarbon, but they got it tied around the tail. So when they let it go all nice and say, "Thanks, buddy, this has been great. Thanks for the fight," they're pulling it back in. They're like, "Oh,
So Cindy, that's why you don't yeet the fish back in, isn't it?
see,
You actually have tied a line around it. That's why you won't actually throw it back in the water. You just gently set it in there. I got it. You and Travis are bringing them back in.
yeah." See,
That's
they
what you
keep
guys
cats
are.
under 10 pounds.
Well, okay, so Mid South, he also uses live scope on his kayak by flipping it over and putting his eyes underwater.
that's
That's how he
that's one
does
code.
live scope. Yeah. So yeah,
Can't do
check
that
out.
where I'm at now. The water's chocolate milk.
Well, everything here in Oklahoma is getting nasty with all this rain. So
Yep.
I need to find out if one or two clear bodies of water, how they're looking.
So to answer your question about fish, it was primarily for me catfish. Juan was the other guy with me, and he did a lot of
Yeah.
carp fishing. And
Okay.
then we would go after bass. Actually, I think I caught a walleye out there.
In
Yeah,
the desert,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
you
And
know, that whole time I had all my rods and reels and all my tackle there in my apartment.
yeah,
You never invited me to go out.
should have came. We were talking
I
about all the
didn't.
time in the knock.
Well, yeah, because I was looking for water to go sand bass fishing, crappie fishing,
Yeah,
and I too many horror stories on Sunday morning with bodies floating in the river.
no crappies. Uh, bunch of small largemouth, and then a lot of crawdads. We actually found that out while we were catfishing. So we would set up the catfish rods, throw them out there, have our bells on there, and then try and do some light tackle like bass fishing or something like that
Yeah,
as the bait's soaking. And I'd hear this ting ting, but that's it. Not a catfish. Like when a catfish bites it, it bends over.
right.
So I go over there and I could feel it actively tugging on it. So the first couple times, obviously I'm trying to set the hook and everything. All I get is cherry Kool-Aid chicken coming flying right back at me. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here. It's just turtles, because turtles were a mess out
Yeah.
there. Like these damn turtles. Throw it back out there, and I start reeling in slowly because I wanted to see like what it was, a turtle or whatever. And there was like 4 crawdads on there.
Four
So
crawdads
say again?
attached to the chicken. Four
Yeah,
crawdads attached to the chicken.
yeah, eating it, not wanting to give it up. They were like
Wow.
aggressive. Like normally when you get some sort of like crab or crawdad or something to the surface, they'll let go like right as they break the surface.
Yeah.
Not these guys. These were cartel crawdads. They held on.
Yes. That was the other reason I really didn't want to go fishing with you guys because I lived on the west side and I had a great view into Juarez right over UTEP. And
That's where we go to go fish.
yeah, exactly. I would drive down by there sometimes. And
Yeah.
can you imagine trying to go fish there now? I mean, we're talking 4 years ago, people.
Oh yeah.
Actually 5 years ago. Can you imagine trying to fish that area now?
So we did the Rio Grande a lot, but it was mostly the canals, the irrigation, because you had a bunch of livestock areas out where you're at. And so all those irrigation canals, that's where we did most of our fishing.
Out in Sunland Park?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where the So, did you ever fly out of El? Did we? I think I flew out of El Paso going somewhere.
We did once to Korea.
Oh yeah, but we left at night, right?
Yep.
I remember doing a daytime flight out, and
Probably Advon.
oh yeah, that's right. No, because we still left at night.
Hmm.
But I just remember that wall, we flew right down the wall south into New Mexico and Arizona, and then all of a sudden the wall was just like stopped, and I don't know how far out it was. So
Yeah.
so mainly catfish, and you kept them in that nasty water. Now, were they big catfish? What was your biggest catfish? In El Paso?
There, maybe 6.
6 pounds. Okay.
The carp, those were bigger. We caught some big pigs out there.
Okay. So everything outdoor adventures, we're talking about fishing the Rio Grande right there in El Paso, Texas. And he just said it was the Sunland Park area, the irrigation canals to the west side of Juarez.
And then I think there was a dam or a lock or something right there in El Paso, and we fished just a little south of that, or maybe it was a power plant or something there. But we would try and get in the warmer water that was there because it was also a little bit deeper. Because the Rio Grande, when we were there, by the time it gets down all the way down there, it's just like a little mud flat. There's barely much water.
Yeah.
She's a big pig. She got whiskers too.
I'm telling you, you and Mid-South, it's almost like I didn't miss you and Gerald.
Yeah. No, we went fishing out there mostly for sport, and then we started catching catfish, and we're like, all right, we can start eating this. And then it was really when we started catching the crawdads that it took off, because we could just dip the chicken in there, pull them out, and literally right into the cooler, just shake them off, throw it back out, and then I made some traps, and we'd come out with enough to feed 6 people doing a southern boil.
Did you ever use the crawdads as bait?
One, and I caught a carp with it.
Did you guys keep the carp?
No. Well,
No.
I did one time because I wanted to try it. Everyone's like, if you look online, everyone in North America is like, carp's trash fish, carp's trash fish.
Right.
But you can see the same amount of people basically saying, like the bass purists are like, catfish is trash fish. It's garbage. I'm like,
it is.
I don't like catfish. Let me try this carp stuff. Spoiler alert, it tasted fine, but it wasn't worth the work. Just the amount of bones.
Okay. Back in the day when I was a kid, way back when, my great aunt used to pressure cook. So I say back in the day. Now we've got the Instapot, which is essentially a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And she would cook carp in her pressure cooker because the bones, even though there's a ton of them, they were very small and fine bones, and the pressure cooker would actually break them down.
Yeah.
To the point you didn't have to pull out the bones.
I saw a lot of stuff about that, and it's normally when you make some sort of soup.
Okay.
I don't really like soup or stew. Like fish stew just sounds terrible to me. I want it fried or grilled or something like that. Put it on a po' boy.
Yeah. Guys in the chat, if you got questions for me or Nate, post them up. And as I told Nate this morning, I asked him, I said, is there anything off limits? And he said no. And he asked me what the rules were, and I said no cussing. So we've got a side private chat for him to cuss with.
Yep.
I mean, you get Army guys together, and actually we're on our best behavior tonight because other people are listening.
It's true.
Yeah. But if it was just you and I, it could be a whole other conversation. So I heard stories that not only did you guys fish, but you would go hunt.
Yeah. Like I said, it was down there with the livestock areas, so there's a lot of cattle ranchers, and we would hunt. They had their land there, and he's like, initially we went there to go hunt doves, and he was like, dude, shoot all the doves, all the pigeons you want, because they eat like what he said, their body's weight worth of grain every day. So if you see 500 doves up there, I lose 500 doves worth of grain every day. So we would just go out there and blast, and we had this open area. So as long as it didn't have 4 legs and moo, we were shooting it. So we'd come back with jackrabbits, snakes, doves, pigeons, whole truck bed full of stuff. And we'd come back to my house, breast them out or whatever we were doing, skin the rabbits and grill them at my house.
Okay. Yeah, I heard a story that that John walked up. He was apparently away from you hunting and came back, and you just had shotgun shells everywhere around you and a bunch of dead crows.
Yeah. Hey, if it flies, it dies. Those were the rules set by the owner.
That was that's where that came from. I now remember that phrase. If it flies, it dies.
Yep.
Didn't you guys even say that when we were in Korea? If it flies, it dies.
Probably.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past
that became a standard phrase always used. All right, so
it might have been if it moves, it's food, but
yeah. So Mid-South, I happen to know that his relationship with his wife isn't quite as crazy as Modog's was. So that is a great question, and I will ask it. How did you and your wife meet?
Youth group.
Youth group.
Youth group. So that's how we met, like initially, and then she was actually the rival high school. So when I would go to our games, she would be on the other side of the bleachers.
Like the Taylor Swift song.
I believe you. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't listened to like any Taylor Swift songs.
It's an old one back when she really was country.
I take it back. There's the one about shaking.
Oh, Shake It Off.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, Big Mike. Welcome in. But yeah, Mike, are you still safe from last night? You got to put that in there. So yeah, go back to meeting your wife.
So we met in youth group and everything, and we didn't like hit it off right then. We just knew who we were. And then some dumb idiot raised his hand and joined the army and left. And then for everyone that can remember way back then, I had a MySpace, and I talked to her on MySpace when I was in AIT. And then we just sort of hit it off from then.
MySpace. What song did you have on your page? Because that's back when you could add music to your page. Come on. You didn't add music and backgrounds and effects and all that stuff?
No, because I didn't want to. Because everyone else was doing it, and they were like paying people to do it. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I think there was a song on there, and it was probably from Mudvayne or Slipknot,
That sounds about like you.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you've never been one to do what the crowd's doing. So
no. I would generally have a moral objection to being a sheep.
Well, and luckily they don't fly, so they don't die.
It's true, but they do move, so they are food.
Wait, sheep moo?
Move.
Oh, move. Yeah, sorry. So
Can confirm.
Oh. We were never in the Middle East together. You cannot confirm that.
I've seen video evidence.
No, you have not. Hey, Fun Fishing Adventures. Welcome in. All right, so what have you been up to? Because I know right before you left El Paso, you were asking tons of questions about Jeeps and off-roading, and I know you've sent me photos of your weekends at the river with the wife and your daughter. What have you been up to outdoors-wise?
So by the time I was getting to leave El Paso, I was in a better financial situation, getting more rank and less debts at that point. Paid a lot of that off. So we went ahead and got a Jeep because we started watching a lot of stuff called overlanding, which is essentially mobilized primitive camping. So we pack everything inside the Jeep and drive out through national parks and just camp and do whatever we want really out there, because we don't have to go to a KOA or some designated camping spot. We just find some place that you can sort of put up a tent and you're camping there. So we've been doing a lot of that. And then Actually, you mentioned Gerald. I got him into fishing pretty heavily up here. So even on
No
our way,
way.
yeah, yeah, I got that dude to go outdoors. And so we've
Wow.
been doing fishing. We went in together on a boat, and so we've
You
been.
went together on a holy cow.
Well, I say boat lightly. It's
Okay.
a I think it's a 12-foot John boat, like the cheapest. I don't even know if it had a brand. It's not like low or whatever. Like the cheapest John boat you can get. It's like 20 years old, and it has a trolling motor, a 55 horse or foot-pound trolling motor on the back. And we just tool
Okay.
around doing hood rad nonsense and that, and having a good old time.
Well, if you need boat repairs, hit up Ken the Boring Fisherman. He's actually in the process of refurbishing a what is it, a 1977 Starcraft aluminum boat. So if you ever need boat repair questions, get with him.
No, we did this deliberately as cheap as possible. My boat repair is Flex Seal and epoxy, not necessarily in that order.
The epoxy to hold the Flex Seal down.
Yeah, or to like help cover up graffiti or something like that. I can't I can't relate to you how much of a piece of crap this is.
No, wait, the graffiti, was that you and Gerald putting it on there, or was it already on there when you bought it?
It comes and goes from multiple
Oh,
places.
okay.
There's no really telling. It's whoever the Lord brings in wants to let us know they were there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Uh, wow. My wife said I would run out of questions and I should have prepared better, but hey,
What's your favorite story from us together? I like stories.
well, and see, that's what I told her. I was like, we'll eventually start telling stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know what? My favorite story about you is regardless of how little sleep you had had, how much alcohol you had had,
None.
you knew every IP address of every computer on the tactical network. All the person had to say was, "I am this person doing this job," and you'd be like, "Oh, your IP is da 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 da." And I'm like, he's exhausted, he's hungover, and then I would grab the piece of paper and I'd be like, "And he's right." And then I
Yeah.
would start quizzing you. I don't remember if you ever remember that. I would actually start picking obscure computers.
You would quiz me after I left. So I'd be gone for like 6 months or a year over at one SFAB, my next assignment, and you would still ask me a question.
Yes. And you would still know it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this backwoods, outdoorsy, doesn't seem to care about anything, know every little detail about his job? That was the most impressive thing.
Yeah. Appreciate it. It was just a drive to be excellent in my job. So I don't really touch computers when I come back here. You see this stuff? Well, there is a work laptop because I can't stop, but all the other computers and everything, that's for my wife and daughter. If the only reason I'm on a computer right now is because of you, I turn that stuff off when I go home. But when I'm at work, it's full tilt, and it's because it's maybe it's partially ego, but I want when people say Nate Hebner, they're like, oh, problem solved.
Well,
Or
and that was absolutely true.
yeah,
The whole division was calling and saying, I need to talk to Nate. I need
yeah,
him to solve division's problems.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's partially that, but I just I wanted it to be positive when my name came up. I wanted it to be thanks, boring fisherman, calling me nerd. Not a
I
nerd.
think he's talking to both of us.
Yeah, just good at my job. But no, it was t- it was to be a commensurate professional in at least the craft, not in my behavior.
Spot on, exceeds expectations right there. The exact phrasing that you just gave was
Yep.
exactly you. And that's what made it so great working with you was if it ever got beyond my level, which obviously didn't take much, but with you around, I never panicked.
Or my book.
Or the the NetOps Bible.
Yep. You called it my brain.
You know, yeah, that was true too. Where did I take that? There was somewhere you had some point you had left. I just remember doing it again, like giving somebody else, like, hey, this is do you have something like this? And they're like, what the heck is that? I mean, we've
No,
got the information. I was like, if you need it in one spot, you need this in your talk. They're like,
yep.
where'd you get this? I was like, I got it from a warrant officer.
Yeah.
Is it true that I partied in drag when Clinton declared don't ask? We didn't know each other back then. Actually, that's pre-military for both of us.
Wasn't that Obama?
No, that was Clinton in the 90s. You were still in high school.
I thought it was Obama that repealed that.
Well, he repealed the don't ask, don't tell. But Clinton enacted it.
Oh, okay. Nate does not have a channel.
Well, he has an account.
Yeah.
but he does not. And that's kind of how we reconnected. I may have sent you one of these other people. I may have sent you some of their stuff or sent you my first video and said, I'm going to try this out.
Yeah. No, I don't have a channel. Most of the time, when I'm out fishing or anything like that, it doesn't need to be videotaped.
No, it does not. You here's the thing. See that we're both sitting in our houses.
Yeah.
This is the only place that is acceptable for the two of us to be on video.
Yeah.
And have a record of it. If we're outside, no.
Mostly because from right here at this angle, you can't see I don't have any pants on.
Well, let me see. I should have set the over under. I'd have probably set it at 15 minutes and been way under.
Yeah.
But yeah, 27 minutes. That's how you did VTCs during COVID, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. How much did you work during COVID? Because I hated it.
The entire time. It's like
Okay.
it was immaterial to me.
Okay. Good. That's exactly the way it was with I ended up with COVID. Do you remember the 2 weeks I was out with COVID?
Yep.
Did you know I was doing 3 VTCs at one time with a headache that felt like a hangover from hell for 8 days? And I had 2 laptops and my phone. I had one headphone over here, another headphone connected to a different device in the other ear, and then a laptop in front of me in 3 different meetings.
I believe it.
Ugh, it was horrible.
Half the time when you would message me, or I'd be walking by, you would be on the phone with someone and in a meeting, and
Yeah,
it's like you just needed the answer right away because you had
because everybody was
3 different ways.
well, everybody was, I need this, I need that, I need to be able to do this. I'm like, okay, we've given you, actually, you and Gerald, I say we, you and Gerald gave everybody 4 different ways to do their job. Nobody liked the 4 options.
No.
Well, this unit over here is doing it this way. Why can't we do it that way? Because we will not allow you to do something that Big Army has not approved of yet.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing. They were skirting the rules. Sorry about that, Ken. It's been bumpy around here for the last week.
Hey, I do have a question for you. Actually, it's
Okay.
probably more so for Mid-South. What is an otter cat?
Oh man, you got to check out Otter Cat's channel.
Okay.
Otter Cat is the next big thing on YouTube.
Is it a person?
Yeah, it's an actual. Well, Otter Cat is like boring fisherman or fishing the Mid-South. Check out Otter Cat's channel on YouTube.
Okay.
And then when you find out he has absolutely 0 content and 70 followers, it's because every time we're in a live and people jump in, we're like, have you subscribe to OtterCat's channel, and then they're like, no, what's the link? And we'll put the link in the chat, and then all of a sudden they come
So
back
this
and
is
they're
just a
like, he has
troll?
no content.
This is just
He's
a
like,
troll. It's like that when you have a dinner party, you bring your most disabled, retarded friend, and all the other people try and show off who brought the most crazy person.
yes, everybody that is in chat right now, you have just described my YouTube group of friends.
I subbed twice to OtterCat.
Hold on. In fact,
subscribe just so I can subscribe one more time.
We are about to get you some subscribers. If I can, what's the name of your channel?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I have no videos, no nothing.
Neither does OtterCat, but we're gonna get you some subscribers.
It's it's Heavy Hev. I don't know if there's any numbers or anything.
Is it all one together?
Yep.
Okay, I put a space in it. Hold on here. Jeez, this is horrible. Trying to find. I know you've jumped into some of my lives before.
Let me see if I can look it up. I can try and send you a message. It's good content.
Oh, we're about to drop that link here in a minute. We're going to get Nate some subscribers just like OtterCat. Forget about OtterCat. He's old. We're going to get Nate some subscribers. And if you end up with more subscribers than me,
okay,
deals off.
Matt, I'll be able to say it. You probably can't see it. So it's Heavy Hev 6319.
6319. That it?
Yeah, that's what my phone says. Is there a picture of the squash bug in all the ranks?
Nope.
It says at Heavy Hev 6319.
I bet somebody in chat's going to find it.
Probably.
Hevy or Heavy?
Heavy.
6319. Why
there you go.
am I not? Oh, somebody get it?
No, I just put it. I just messaged.
Ah, yes, there we go.
So all you guys can subscribe to a zero upload channel.
And we will. We will for sure. Now I got to go back to my channel. All right. Somebody drop that link in there. You guys are faster than me. Okay, now I got to make some more moderators because you guys are. I'm behind here. I'm working on it, Ken. I'm working on it.
So while you're working on subscribers and everything, let me gush on you a little bit. Pun intended.
Oh no.
No. So when we initially got into Korea, spilled my heart out and said you were my favorite officer that I've ever worked with. And that's because it became more apparent later on because I think the biggest thing that you imposed on me is that bosses push, but leaders pull. And so you showed me what that was like. There's that like buzzword from all the leadership people about servant leadership, but it really rung true with me and you because you showed me what it's like for someone to, instead of say, this is my problem. You need to fix my problem. Help me do this. You said, this is the problem. How do I help you do this? How do I, or this is anything, this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
How do I help you get there? How do I help you take us there? So that's one of the biggest things that was imparted on me. And I think I tried to instill that with in the teams that we had there, because we were there for everyone. I don't know how many Army people we have, but we had a bunch of 25. We had like 5 Limas get attached to us, which are just their whole job is to run cable.
Yes.
They're
Make
not Rhodes
cable.
Scholars. Nate has 7 subs, and they're huge. 25 Limas aren't notoriously Rhodes Scholars or anything like that, but it was me adapting what you taught me that made those 25 Limas, which no one expects anything from, and making them probably one of the best net ops teams that anyone could ask for. So I do appreciate that while you're figuring out sub stuff.
Well, that was you learned from a lot of my mistakes prior to. Back when I was a dumb lieutenant, I would have majors say, "You need to do this, you need to do that," and I would run around doing exactly what they said.
Yeah.
And you've probably done that at point in time, and there's not enough time for you to get it all done. They start piling so much on you, and it really sucks when somebody's just passing on taskings that they've been given.
Yeah.
Because if your boss tells you these things need to get done, and you're like, "Well, I can't do all of them," and then you just turn around and say, "You, and you do this," and then they're like, "Why do I got to do it?"
Yeah.
So that's where I developed that style of, okay, here's our mission. Here's what we need to accomplish. You figure out how to accomplish it. So now I'm empowering you. I'm not telling you how to do it, just what the end state is.
Yeah.
This is what it needs to look like by this time. And you can figure it out. Plus, I'm not the greatest with ideas sometimes. There's more than one way to do the same job, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical.
Yeah.
As long as you don't do one of those 3 things, I don't care how you do it.
But if you do 2, it's kosher.
No, not when I was in command. I wouldn't have let them do any of the 3 with my knowledge anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, and then there were times where I just had to say, "All right, this is going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
This tasking I'm giving you is going to suck. I have already fought against it. I've lost the war.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we need to get done." And my soldiers actually, it was a Saturday, we were in the office doing mandatory training and stuff and this was in Korea as well. So, Saturdays were just another day of work. And I was supposed to get something turned into the S4 by noon. I'm calling him at 10:30 because we're done.
Yeah.
Not answering the phone. At 11:30, I called the battalion XO. And he's like, "Well, I'm out somewhere in Seoul. I'll try to get a hold of him."
Yeah.
Well, the S4 was a fellow captain, and I lit into him in the office full of soldiers.
Yeah.
I was in my office, they're across the way in another office, but apparently they all went silent and went, "Oh my God, he's yelling at somebody. He can actually yell at some." And then I walked in, all smiles. They're like, "Are you okay?" It's like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be? We've never heard you yell like that before." I was like, "And pray it's never you.
Yeah.
You know I can do it. Just toe the line, get your job done, and I'll never yell at you." They're like,
Yeah.
"We're good."
That was another thing I picked up from you. It didn't really apply to me because every time you were telling me to like go home or chill out, I was like, "Cool story, Captain. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing." But there's gonna be certain points in time where I expect everything from my men, and I can't do that all the time. So when there's nothing
Right.
going on or anything, hey, whatever it is that you need, if you need time, if you need different schools or whatever, go do those things because there's going to be a point in time where I ask for everything and I expect it.
Right.
And so it's different stories like that help me gather and garner that.
Yeah. I hated those weekend phone calls. Of course, in command, usually they weren't good. But yeah, if I could insulate people and let them keep their weekends, that was my number one goal. So yeah, the same thing, because when it came Monday morning, PT formation, oh yeah, it's game on until Friday at
Yep.
yeah. We're going 100 miles an hour, and then come final formation on Friday. I don't want to. If I see you, it better be because we're at the same bar.
Yep.
In fact, I had two soldiers come into our favorite place, Vatos. Did you ever go to Vatos while we were there?
Nope.
Oh man, must have been everybody else that forced. I remember. I'll get to that story in a minute. But my wife and I love to go to Vatos in Itaewon, and we were sitting at the bar on a Saturday afternoon, like we almost always did. And two of my soldiers came in, and in my safety brief, if you remember those,
Got
you're up
11
to 11 subs, by the way.
Yep.
Can we get him to 20? We got 20 minutes. Can we get him 9 more in 20 minutes? My two soldiers came in, and every safety brief I said, soldiers hang out with soldiers, NCOs hang out with NCOs. Go out together, but don't go as a mixed group. If a bunch of soldiers go into a bar and see their NCOs at a table in the back corner, go talk to your NCOs, say hi, and then leave and find your own place.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. NCOs, if you go into a bar and you see the soldiers there, go check on them. Then leave. Go find your own place. Well, I had two soldiers walk into the front of Vatos. It's a Mexican Korean fusion restaurant with a bar.
Yeah.
My wife and I always sat at the bar. And I saw them walk into the front door. It's a restaurant. It's big. You two want to get a table and eat? By all means, but stop by and say hi on your way to your table. They
Yeah.
turned around and left. I called them out Monday morning at PT formation. I was like, why did you two turn around and leave? Because you were already there with your wife. I was like, and what's the rule? We're supposed to come say hi and then leave? I was like, exactly. You didn't come say hi to me. And
Yeah.
I would have told you, if you wanted to eat, get you a table. Just don't sit at the bar with me.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, my battalion commander sat right next to me at the bar, but I was there first, dadgummit.
Mm.
So, but yeah, so a story of Korea that you didn't know. Remember that I had a room up at Hovey and
Yeah.
one at Humphreys? So, a bunch of, I think it was definitely Saturday. It was January 1st. I was bringing people back to Humphreys, that all of our crew, all the NCOs, and they were like, "Sir, why are we racing back to Humphreys? It's like 10 o'clock. You keep talking about Vatos.
Yeah.
Let's stop in Seoul and go to Vatos. Let's go eat lunch." They spent the entire trip from Hovey to Seoul talking me into it and wore me down. And by God, if we didn't go to Vatos.
That's what I'm talking about.
And yeah, who were some of the NCOs? Just give last names. The one that we ended up having to chapter that lives in Kansas City now.
Oh, Lockhart?
Lockhart. Yeah. And then there was one
Lockhart,
or two that we had got.
Rappaport, Gentert.
There was another one from 313 that we had.
It was Gentert.
No, it was
oh,
there was another one.
I forget his name, but we used to call him Guffin for time. I don't know who you're talking about. He was a Cav Scout that switched over to be a 25 Echo.
Yeah, but it was definitely Lockhart, and it may have been Rap, but yeah, so they were all in the vehicle and wore me down, and I was like, all right, guys, one Texas tea a person. Yep. That's it, and I'm not drinking it.
Good luck.
One Texas tea. Well, yeah. Yeah, they downed
the wrong team to bring.
They downed 2 of them, and my record was 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got them back to Humphreys, and they continued to drink just because it was a Saturday.
Yeah. It's a day that ended in Y. They were drinking.
Yeah. So that was the other thing, you talking about leadership styles. In command, I didn't go looking for my soldiers. I just ran them to death every morning for PT.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a soldier end up here at Fort Sill after I came back. She's like, "Sir, did you know that we busted curfew every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night?" I was like, "Yeah, you were up out in Hungday in the college crowd area." She's like, "How'd you know?" It's like, I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
I didn't go looking for you, but you never got caught.
You weren't
And that's the
troublemakers.
place well, 1 or 2 of them were. I was like, and did you also notice that, well, they were a lot like you. They'd cause trouble amongst themselves, but never for anybody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, did you ever notice how much we ran, especially on Fridays and Mondays? She's like, no. I was like, I was running a soju out of you.
Yeah.
I was running the alcohol out of you. She's like, you knew? I was like, there were too many indicators. I had some PT studs that would fall out if I did a release run that I could pass. And I didn't run fast. And if I would catch up to them, I knew that they were hungover or still drunk.
Yeah.
I was like, those were my tests. That's how I identified those of you that were drinking.
Yeah.
And I was sobering you up before the workday. She's like, never thought about that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's a pro move. So
Yep.
if you don't mind me asking, I'm gonna stir the turd pot.
Oh no. Hold on. Let me get another drink.
Yep. I see all you guys catch and release bass. How many's actually eating it?
There's Modog. There's my buddy. He's obviously done fishing for the night. So the last time I kept a bass was when I was in college. And I was taking a fish behavior class at Lake Texoma. Yes,
Wait,
I actually took a fishing
was fish behavior class.
Yes.
Oh, right.
In college. At a lake.
They swim.
The morning was a classroom with 2 professional bass fishermen and the head of the OU biology department, who has a lot of patents for fishing electronic equipment. That was the last time I kept a bass, because the morning was classroom and the afternoon was practical application, which meant we fished in the afternoon.
Is it because it's a sport and a hobby, or you have no interest in eating bass?
Well, okay, so at the time when I kept that one, it was fish is a fish. But apparently we were only supposed to be catching perch. Well, this bass decided to eat my worm, and I caught a bass. And the professor, Dr. Lauren Hill, look him up, was cleaning all the fish for us for the fish fry that night. And there's a nice 2-pound bass in the basket. And he looked at me, he's like, "Did you keep this?" I was like, "Well, yeah, it's a fish." And it was already dead, so we had to fillet it. But that's when I discovered that the meat was very, very different. Just looking at the meat of crappie and perch and that bass was a very different meat. So I haven't kept one since, because there's so many rules and laws. But here in Oklahoma, they just changed the law last year that there are too many small bass, and they're competing for food so much that now I think you can keep 5 a day over 10 inches. It used to be 14. They dropped it to 10.
Yeah.
And only 1 over 14 inches. So they want you to catch and keep the 10 to 14-inch bass.
Yep.
They're trying to thin it out so the bigger ones still have food, and those that make it through and not caught or kept can grow bigger.
Yeah.
So now on tournaments, obviously, for catch, photo, release,
Yeah, yeah.
that's how
Tournaments,
that's how
obviously,
tournaments
if
happen.
you're eating your tournament bass, like you're not gonna be able to take it to the weigh scales or anything like that. But it's silly to me because you're gonna, just for the same reason that you got, they want you to keep all those 10 to 12s or 10 to 14s, is there's a bunch of little ones, a bunch of 1 and 2
Right.
pounders. So actually, they're doing the same thing here at Fort Benning. They're like, anything under 10, don't put it back in the water.
Wow. Under 10, don't put it in the back?
Don't put it back.
Wow. That you didn't have to be told twice.
So it's because there's like some ratio, I don't really know, but it's like 5 or 0 to 5% are going to be, 16 and bigger. And then,
Right.
somewhere in there is going to be your, 3 and 4 pounders, and then your like 2 and unders kind of things, and then your fry. But there's this pond on Fort Benning that's just like all fry. I mean, it's not fry, but you know what I mean, when you catch
All
it and you
the
pull it up,
little
you're like,
6 and 8-inch bass, and you're like,
yeah. When you catch it, you're
yeah,
like, I feel like a bad person because
yeah,
it ate this 8-inch worm or whatever. And you're like,
yeah,
But so most of the
yeah.
time when I catch those ones at that one pond, I'll just throw them up on the bank
Wow.
because there's birds and raccoons and everything that'll eat it. But when I'm out fishing the hooch or anything like that, if I catch
The hooch.
the Chattahoochee, uh, probably about 2 to 4 pound bass, I'm keeping it. I'm eating
Yeah.
it. Now, if I catch a donkey, a big old mud panda, I'll throw that back because that's someone else's to catch as well. But the like eating size, I'm eating them.
Yeah. Well, here, if I'm gonna keep fish, I'm targeting sand bass because there's no limit, there's no size requirement. I can keep as many of any size as I want.
I wonder how much of the size requirements for largemouth or smallmouth is for the sport instead of the
Yes.
actual like health of the population.
Yeah. The majority of it is for the sport,
See,
but
look at Modog. Hey man, I said I'd keep the giants for you. Well, okay. Is it because I threw the small ones out, or because I'm eating the run of the mill for you, the 2 to 4 pounders?
that's all he catches is 2 to 4 pounders.
Ooh.
He can't catch anything over 4. Not on tournament day anyway.
He's a not grower,
And
no shower. I got
yeah.
you.
Now, when it comes to fishing ponds on Fort Sill, he knows where all the big ones are. And he's tried to let me catch them, but he won't let me.
Oh, gotta
I
let him
mean,
catch a bucket.
I dude is just as bad as I am sometimes. Literally sat right in my same spot not 5 minutes after I left it and caught almost a 7-pounder.
Gerald does the same thing to me. I'll go out by
You know
myself,
what? Modog and Gerald look a lot alike too.
big, dumb, and retarded.
Modog, I just said you look a lot alike, and he came up with that.
No, but I'll be throwing like the best stuff that I think is for that location and that cover and that water flow and the bait that's in there. I'm like, there's no way this is not going to catch anything. I'm like, zzz. And then Gerald comes in with like crappie nuggets or something stupid like that. Tosses those out there, and then in comes like a 3 or 4 pounder. I'm like, you asshole. Come on. How
That's
does
what
this
it's
happen?
like fishing with Modog sometimes.
And then
He,
somehow, because it's Gerald, he can always get my goat. So anytime you're fishing with someone, it doesn't matter the number. I don't care if you catch 5 dinks. If I come in with a 16-pound slaunch donkey, obviously I won.
right.
Nope. Somehow I can catch a 2 or 3 pounder, and then Gerald can catch or brim, and now somehow I feel like I'm the jerk. I'm the loser. He beat me. And I'm like, this
Yep.
doesn't make sense. No, look at this. Look at this thing. Look at what I caught. See how I did it? Look at this. Look at
Oh
this
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And Gerald's got like 3 things the size of those coins up there. And I'm feeling like I need to catch up. So I switched to like some micro bait or whatever. But yeah, I'm eating them.
Okay.
I think it's
I mean, I've
good.
thought about it because, especially here in Oklahoma, I read the wildlife report. They're like, please, please thin these things out
Yeah.
because from the 70s when bass tournaments became a thing to make people not complain about killing all the fish, they they did the release process, and then it just kind of changed every angler's mindset of largemouth and smallmouth you put back. Well, now we're 30, 40, 50 years down the road, and there's some monsters out there. It's done that,
Yeah.
but now they're getting short. And as a kayak fisherman, based on length, we don't like the short fish,
No.
and we
You
can't
guys
set the
have
hook hard
queens?
enough from a kayak to stretch them out before they get into the kayak.
Yeah, you guys are size queens. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm a lovely bank fisherman or the worst John boat alive fisherman. But
Eh,
maybe it's the camera or something. Maybe you guys can't tell. I know they say the camera adds 10 pounds. It looks like I ate 2 of them, but this neck is red as it gets. So if I can catch it, I'm eating it.
I I have the days I'm sand bass fishing and I catch catfish, I will keep them.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. If I'm not basically if I'm not tournament fishing or pre-fishing for a tournament and I'm out there for a good time and not specifically targeting largemouth, yeah, I there's times I'll throw my fish back basket in the kayak because that's the day I'm keeping fish.
Yeah.
It's also the some of the worst days I have fishing for some reason. So, hey, DJ's Adventure, welcome in. We're actually about wrapped up for our hour.
Yep.
Man, there was a question I had. Oh, give us your fishing setups: rod, reel, line. What do you typically use?
It's not good. So I like Abu Garcia. I like Abu Garcia. I have a Black Max bait caster. I have
Okay.
a Lose Striper or Mr. Striper, one of those big bait casters like you would have out in the ocean, but for stripers
Okay.
out here. I have a Abu Garcia. I don't even know what it's called. A little white one. I actually bought that on the way to Miami. We had a training exercise out there, and I forgot my fishing pole in net ops. So I was like, "There's a Bass Pro on the way.
Yeah.
Homegirls going."
There's
So,
Otter Cat. There he is.
yep, I went to Bass Pro, got that little Abu Garcia spinner, and then basically Walmart or Academy knockoffs. I
The
like
H2O series.
maybe I don't know.
Okay.
I see it and it's like $59.99, $69.99, $49.99. I'm getting there. $29.95. That's my girl. So I'm grabbing that because I'm gonna use it until it is bad and then just throw it away.
Okay.
And then I like a 10 to 15 pound like yellow, bright yellow or bright green uh braid with
Okay.
about 15 feet of 10-pound monofilament. That's like most of what I'm using.
Okay.
So
Have
I
you
can,
ever done straight braid?
yes, frogs, top water.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I don't care about if they can see it or the motion or anything like that. I don't care if it floats or sinks or anything like that. I just need it so that when I get it stuck in some vegetation, I can rip it out.
Okay. See, I switched to straight braid from monofilament because I got to where I could feel the stretch, and in a kayak that moves when you set the hook, I needed the extra power, so
Oh
I
yeah.
went straight braid. on everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I get more bites putting a leader on there, whether it's
Probably.
mono or fluorocarbon. I used to just only do mono, 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 mono.
Yep. That's what
And
I
then I
did.
did only fluorocarbon, and I'm like, I'm tired of every time it touches a twig, it breaks. So let me give the last little bit just fluorocarbon because it's hidden, and then braid.
Right.
And then definitely fishing from a paddleboard, I can tell. I got a stand-up paddleboard inflatable, so I'm like,
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
yeah. And then
Yeah, so you know about the moving around when you set the
oh
hook.
yeah, it's even worse because I'm standing up. I'm a dumb sail.
What's the biggest fish you caught on your stand up?
Maybe 4 tops.
Okay, did you go for a sleigh ride? Where was it like you were
Nope.
skiing
He
onto
was
the
in the
no?
rocks. Just trying to dive right in the rocks. I'll be right back, kiddo.
Yep. Oh, yeah, his daughter. His daughter's probably 8 or 9 now. So welcome in, Ottercat. I hate to tell you, you are no longer the focus to get subscribers. We're getting Nate's channel up. If you scroll back, I think Ken dropped it in the chat. So yeah, you don't need to worry about your subscriber count. We are definitely not focusing on that anymore. But I will make you a mod real quick. Wait, hold on. Oh, add as moderator. Almost timed you out. Almost acted like you were Jake. And hunting and stuff, you get to be added as a moderator as well. I'm sorry, man. So you're gonna have to go to somebody else's channel. We're getting Nate up there. Maybe we can get Nate past you, and then you guys can actually produce some content. That's what we'll go for. First one to 100 has to make a short, and I can tell Nate that that's the deal. First one to 100 subscribers has to make a short with their face in it. No Mid-South, I did not catch a 9-pounder and then claim the scale was wrong. I caught a 5.8 and used the exact same type of scale, and I'm going to say that was over 6. So no, I'm not claiming a 9-pounder and the scale was wrong. I'm claiming a 5-pounder and the scale was wrong. Especially since my 5.8 was only 2 inches shorter than said 9-pounder.
Come on, Modog. Well, here, Modog. Have you ever eaten a bass? And if so, was it good? Was it bad? Because I've
He
never
doesn't
had a
eat
bass that I
fish.
didn't like.
He doesn't eat fish.
Oh, really? No fish?
Yeah. He loves to catch them, but he won't eat them.
Poor wife. So no, I'm not married to any kind of rod reel combo. I don't
Okay.
have a braid type. I'm not married to any kind of bait type. Says I've never. It.
Thank God we didn't get to that suggestion
I'm
that you
like
had earlier today.
I'm like the
Maybe.
worst when it comes to this kind of stuff because I'm like perpetually stuck in the like beginner phase where it's like, let me try a spinnerbait, and I'll try that. I'll buy like 2 or 3 like cheap ones from Walmart or whatever, and then just try those forever. Not like them. Then let me try a lipless crankbait or any other kind of crankbait or anything. I just like being out there in the woods, hanging out with the boys.
You're off my Christmas list now saying that you don't enjoy spinnerbait. So you're just
No,
making
well,
enemies here tonight.
it's normally with spinners, it's when I keep getting them caught.
Ah.
Yeah, it would be weird if I was. If there was one bait that I was married to, it would probably be a wacky rigged worm. Give me a
Have you ever
Senko
tried
and
the
a wacky
beetle
rig.
spin?
Say it again.
Wasn't it you that I mentioned a beetle spin to?
Yeah, I tried those. Uh, I'm inconsistent at best with them.
Oh, I'm just inconsistent regardless of what I'm throwing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like targeted species. I'll catch the wildest stuff on a beetle spin.
Yes, that's what makes a beetle spin fun,
Yeah.
especially if you're on 4 or 6 pound monofilament with
Yeah.
a ultralight rod, and then you get a 4-pound catfish on one. Whew, now the fight's on.
Yeah. Oh, out here on the hooch, you'll catch stripers. You'll catch I don't know what to call it. There's like this herring fish out here. I know it's not herring because I think those are saltwater, but it's something like that. It's like bigger than shiners. I don't know what it is, but I'll catch those on beetle spins all day.
I think that's what people are calling a skipjack.
Yeah, skipjack.
Yep.
That sounds right.
So,
but no.
Yeah, Anthony J, I'm with you. If I'm going to a crankbait, those are definitely rattle trap, chrome, or threadfin shad color. Well, we are over time. I try to keep these right to an hour, but as always, we could go for much longer. But I want to keep them short, and I appreciate you coming on.
Definitely.
And if you're looking for him on social media, he's there, but he's not there. If you don't have his contact information, you're never going to find him. So, but do subscribe to Heavy Hev 6 something whatever. Yeah. So while you were gone with your daughter, since Ottercat was here, it's a race between you and him. The first one to get 100 subscribers has to put a short on their channel with their face.
Okay.
We're going to see who we can get to 100 subscribers first.
And
neither one of you have the option. We're all going to make sure you get subscribers.
Okay. Perfect. I was going to say that's not much incentive for me to get subscribers, but if you guys force it upon me, I will do one in case
we
doesn't do it for you.
We got Ottercat up to 80 one night, and by the next morning he was down to 65.
He's on the channel. I just saw him on here.
Yeah. Well, you were taking care of your daughter. That's when I put that out there.
Yeah. You guys are laying into him, and he joins. Is he in on the joke?
He got in on the joke later.
Okay.
And so, now anytime the group of us, regardless of channel, there can just be somebody that it recommends me to go into their live, and I'll see Ottercat or any group of people, and anybody that knows Ottercat would be like, have you met Ottercat? Have you checked out his channel? Go subscribe. And they'll drop the link in, and
Perfect.
so you're next up.
Yeah, good luck.
Going to be doing that.
Shorts coming your way.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And
have a good one, everyone.
Enjoy time with your family. Keep sending me photos of you guys out there on the hooch. Is that what you call it? The hooch? I mean, if there's stripers out there, I may have to bring the kayak down.
Oh, yeah. There's stripers, strippers, striped bass, anything you want.
Well, you are in Columbus, Georgia, so
you
just described Columbus, Georgia. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming in to chat and keeping it lively. I missed a ton of chat questions, so I do appreciate you guys coming in, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks with who knows. I have no idea who I'm going to invite next. It may be the Friday before again when I decide who I'm inviting. Do appreciate you coming in.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Nate.